Hello Magic Gathering players, this is Maelstrom MTG right after midterm, so if I am low energy, I apologize. But we are back again with some budget modern, this time a slightly larger budget. We are doubling our budget, so it's not, like one could argue, it's not slightly larger, but we want to enter a new part of the channel, a new series. It's going to be basically an extension of our old series. But I want to upgrade the budget slightly because maybe you built the deck, you really like it, but you don't know how to upgrade your deck. There we go. Maybe you're someone who's like, okay, that's great for someone who has $100, but like, I don't want half of these cards because my budget's $300 or $200. And even then, like, what do I do? And so I'm going to be making these videos for $200 as well. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop the $100 videos, it just means that the $200 videos are going to exist. I'm going to put them in two different playlists on my channel, hopefully I can remember how to do that. I am not tech savvy at all, by the way. But here we are, $200 budget, and this is, like, our last deck was also a Tron deck, but, like, this is our first, like, kind of, like, meta deck that's going to be at $200. And it is Eldrazi Tron. There is another video, I'll put the link in the description, of a very, I think probably a better job at explaining the deck that of me doing it right now. Like I'm just gonna be trying to tell you the upgrades of the list. If you want to see a full in-depth description, please go to the link below. But we do have Eldrazi Tron. I really liked the list. I just felt like something was missing if it was going to be that cheap. And you know what? You're going to get that feeling a lot of time. You're going to notice that the power level kind of goes down as the price goes down. But it happens. It happens sometimes. Not all of my decks are golden. Definitely the biggest improvement to the deck is going to be the Eldrazi temples. I'm very happy about these. So really, if you don't understand what Tron is, I've had a few Tron decks at this point on this channel, so hopefully you do. But if you're new, basically, if you have Urza's Mine, Urza's Power Plant, and Urza's Tower all out on the battlefield, Mine produces 2 colorless, Power Plant produces 2 colorless, and Tower produces 3 colorless. So if you have these all out by turn 3, you can have 7 mana. And let's say you have a Tome out, actually no, I think I got rid of the ramp, dang. Oh wait, so in my original version of the list, I had a Mana Rock, and I replaced it with Maze Mind Tome, but that's okay. But if you want to go a version with Big Ugin, the Spirit Dragon, then what you can do is you can run some Mana Rock, so you can actually hit Ugin on turn 3. But it's quite a deck, I have to say. Occasionally you'll run into decks that have land destruction, so you're gonna be really sad about that. But the purpose is that by turn 3, you're going to get a lot of mana. So we have Walking Ballista as a way to sink mana, as well as get a big cast. And I'm really happy that we got to include this. I would love to see like 3, maybe even 4 in the list. But 2 is where we're at. We are barely under the budget. Eldrazi Mimics, so that we can pump up our Eldrazi Mimics so we have an early play, but it also is going to give us a chance to just swing in with an incredible amount of power some random turn. Matter Reshaper as a way for us to kind of like put, like, it gives us the ability to sometimes put stuff randomly onto the battlefield, but I really like it. Thought-Knot Seer is going to be probably the, I want to say, out of utility, Thought-Knot Seer and Walking Ballista are going to be the biggest. Walking Ballista is kind of a duress, where Thought-Knot Seer is kind of a duress, where Walking Ballista is constantly pinging your opponent's creatures. Reality Smasher is going to be a really big creature. like not necessarily like power and toughness. 5/5 trample haste is huge, but like it has it's such a powerful card. I can't stress it enough. This is such a powerful card. It being able to just play this swing in is amazing. If you land this on turn 3, which you can turn 3 Tron land and then play any of these 2-drops like Mimic or Mason Tome, and then immediately also play our Reality Smasher. Anyway, next up is Ugin, the Ineffable, because we want our things to cost less, we want to be able to get card advantage, and it does give us removal. Spatial Contortion is removal or pumping up. Warping Whale as kind of like a flexible card. It allows us to get a creature, allows us to remove some certain creatures, and then it also counters sorceries, which will actually come in handy more often than you would think. It really does. Then Dismember's a full 4. The original actually only ran like 1 or 2 in the main board, I believe, and we constantly lost life from it. And so you might be like, okay, but why are you adding more? There's a reason, and we'll come back to it, but we just needed the removal. Titan's Presence, I really want to keep it in here. If you have an All Is Dust, it could go in this spot. I just really wanted to keep Titan's Presence. I really like it. But as we move towards Walking Ballista and stuff like that, you might look to take Titan's Presence out of your list. Then we have Expedition Map to search out for our Tron lands, Mason Tome to add Scrying, Drawing, Life Gain, Blast Zone as just pesky permanent removal, Eldrazi Temple as one of my favorite additions to this version of the deck, Scavenger Grounds is Graveyard Hate, Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth is what allows us to have a good conscience while we are casting our Dismember. Now, I know if you've already seen my Tron list, this might seem kind of like, oh, you're just recording the same video twice. It's slightly different because, like, with my descriptions, because having played more of this deck, I have more insight. I know more of an emphasis. Like, I don't know how much I actually told you how powerful Reality Smasher was in the first video, but Reality Smasher is so powerful. Like, I think I put more an emphasis on Mimic, but tell me below if you want, but Reality Smasher is really kind of an all-star in this deck. Maybe I emphasized Thought-Knots here as well, but Reality Smasher is probably what's going to win us most of our games, surprisingly. Well, not surprisingly, but it turned out as I played more games, that's what really our winning card was. So I have a little more experience with the deck now. I don't play a ton of Tron, but or I haven't in the past, but playing more gives me more of an insight, gives me an updated list. But Urborg is going to turn all of our lands into swamps in addition to their other types. So it's like Blood Moon, but with a benefit. It also affects our opponents though, so keep that in mind. But Urborg, we can fetch it with Expedition Map if we need, but it allows us to cast Dismembers without losing that life, which if you ask me, is pretty snazzy. Then we have our Tron lands and we have Wastes. You could honestly make these into swamps, but I really prefer the Wastes through gameplay. I tested out the swamps, but having Wastes with the typical land destruction allows you to go tutor out, and you still have that colorless source. For a sideboard, not really much has changed. We took out the one Dismember that was in the sideboard, added a Sorcerer's Spyglass. So we have Tormod's Crypt for Graveyard Hate, we have Damping Sphere for Combo Hate and other Tron Hate, depending on how greedy they are. And also sometimes Aggro Hate, depending on how much they're casting in one turn. A big thing you might want to bring this in against is like Prowess. Sorcerer's Spyglass is against a lot of different things. Really important against those control decks and those Stoneforge decks. Those are really important to bring these in. Otherwise, it just, whenever you need to get rid of a random activated ability that you just hate. And sometimes, you know, you might be going up against a deck that just Dismember does not do anything against, so you can bring these in. Spatial Contortion is more buff / removal, particularly removal. And Warping Whale as more flexibility. This is really a flex spot. These last two spots you can really put anything. And these sideboards you can change out whatever you need. This is kind of like what I expect I might go against if I play online, but really it's general. Like if I were to go to my my FNM at my university here, it's like 10 people, okay? 8 or 9 of them play Burn. 8 of them play Burn, 1 plays a tribal deck, and then there's me. And I think I played Prison for the longest time last year. I should have just played Leyline of Combustion. Anyway, Leyline of Combustion is great against them. But the point is, I would go a deck that is very anti-burn, where someone else might go a deck that's very anti-humans, or anti-merfolk, or anti-soul sisters, whatever. So, or anti-prowess. So, the sideboard and even the main board really can be adjusted depending on what you're going against, or even your own playstyle preferences. So let me know what you think down below. Hopefully I can get some gameplay in. For now I've got to skedaddle because I do have classes to get to. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. If you want to subscribe, please do. Hit that like button. You're amazing and I love you all. See you next time.